Hi everyone, welcome to my Mug Rug of the Month Club. I'm Geri Ford and welcome to my studio. And what we're going to make this month is a mug rug perfect for back to school. It'll make a great gift for a teacher or your favorite college student friends. It has a little pocket that you can put a cookie or a napkin or another little goodie inside there. So if you'd like a copy of this design and the written instructions, send an email request to me at waltzquilt@yahoo.com and I'll be happy to share this design with you. If you'd like to become a member of our Mug Rug of the Month Club, also send me an email and say, add me to your list. This is a simple applique project. So here's a few things that you need. You'll need your 5x7 or larger hoop. For stabilizer, you can either use a tearaway, or if you want it to be permanent, then use like a no-show mesh. Don't use a real heavy stabilizer. You'll need a pair of sharp applique or curved scissors. I like to use these curved ones the best. Make sure they're nice and sharp. Okay, for fabric, you're going to need a background fabric for the left side of the mug rug, and I've used a white print, but you could use anything you like, a light color. Then we start working on the applique pieces, and they're just pretty much straightforward. You'll need a 3" by 4" piece of white. If you can see through it, then I would back it with a piece of tearaway stabilizer or interfacing so that the background doesn't shadow through. For the applique books, you're going to need a small 2 by 3½ piece of blue. You'll need a 2" by 3½ piece of gold fabric or yellow or any colors you like. I've used a 1½ by 3" piece of black for one of the books and a 1½ by 3" piece of fabric for red. Same thing, green, 1½ by 3" for red. Okay, and that's all the applique pieces that you need. Okay, then for the right side of the mug rug, you're going to need one piece of 3½ by 6" piece of a red print. I'm choosing the same print to make the pocket, and so for the pocket you're going to need a 3½ by 7" rectangle, and then I folded it in half, gave it a nice sharp crease. Then for the backing, you will either need two 6" by 9" rectangles for the back, and then you would fold that in half. You'll need two of these, or if you like, which I cut this one actually 6 by 10, a little bit longer, and I'm going to cut it in half because I want the back to be a single layer. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and fold over 2 1/4 inches like that, and just top stitch this down so that the backing will be a single layer. And then of course you're going to need a piece of cotton batting or Insulbrite, about approximately 6" by 8". You're going to need embroidery bobbin thread, the usual. Then you're going to need embroidery thread in the following colors. You're going to need white for the pages, blue for one of the books. You're going to need gold. Here, I'll put these this way. Gold, blue, black, red, green. Then for the apple, you'll also need the red, and you'll need some pink to highlight the apple. And you're going to need some brown for the stem and green for the leaf on top of the apple. And of course you're going to need metallic thread for the lettering. Okay, I've loaded the design into the machine, and I have hooped the stabilizer, only the stabilizer. I've put white bobbin thread in the bobbin, and so the first stitch is going to be a placement for the batting. I'm using white thread. I know it's a little hard to see. I'm floating the batting on top of the hoop, and just make sure that the batting covers all of the stitching lines. It's nice and flat. You can spray it down if you like. However, this is cotton batting and it's going to pretty much stick to the stabilizer. Or you could also use Insulbrite if you want a little more heat protection for your table. And then this is color stop number 2 is going to tack down this batting. Okay, now I'm going to take the hoop off of the machine, but I'm going to leave the fabric in the hoop. And I am going to trim away the excess batting. And one easy way is to have these curved scissors, and you just simply give a little bit of tension. You don't have to go super close, but if you give a little bit of tension to the edge of the fabric, it's going to cut a lot closer. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch the rest of this off camera on a nice flat table, because that way I won't cut into my stabilizer. I will be right back. The reason I cut the batting now instead of waiting till after I was finished with the mug rug is that reduces the bulk in the seam. Okay, the next color stop is going to show me the placement for the background fabric on the left side of the mug rug. Color stop number 3 gave you the placement. Color stop number 4 is going to tack down this background fabric. I want to leave at least 1/4 of an inch overlap on the inside here, and I want to leave at least 1/4 to 1/2 an inch on the outside of the fabric for a seam allowance, and then tack down the background fabric. The next color stop is going to show you the placement for the white pieces of paper in the stack of books. And this is just an outline stitch. I would put the white fabric down. However, if I can see the background print shadowing through, I'm just going to put a piece of cutaway stabilizer, just a scrap piece of it, up underneath so that it covers all of the stitching. And I'll do the next color stop, and this will tack it down. Okay, once again I'm going to remove the hoop from the machine, but I'm not going to take the fabric out of the hoop, and I'm going to trim away the excess around the white, and I'm going to do that off camera. If it's too thick to do it all in one layer, if you've added extra interfacing, it wouldn't hurt to do one layer at a time rather than try to cut through both layers. It's up to you. Okay, I will be right back. Okay, I've trimmed it away. Between this tiny little spot between these two books on the left hand side or top, if you've got it inverted like mine, you don't have to take that little bit out. But I got most of it out. Next is color stop number 7, which is white. It is going to give you some texture to the pages of the books. Okay, that'll take a little while to stitch, so I will be back. I've put blue in the needle, and I'm going to do the outlining of the blue fabric for the blue book. Okay, number 9, I'm going to cover the stitches so that the blue is covering everything. Okay, and then this is going to tack down the blue book. And again, I'm going to trim carefully around the edges of the book. Easier done on a flat surface, and then I will come back. Okay, it's all trimmed. Color stop number 10 is going to seal in the edges on 3 sides of the blue book. Okay, this will take some time to stitch out. Next is the placement for the gold book. I've also put gold thread in the needle, not the metallic, the regular gold colored. Okay, next is the tack down for the gold. This is a typical applique process, so I'm going to trim away all of the excess gold. Okay, trimmed away. Now we're going to do the sealing in satin stitches for the edges of the gold book. And again, once again, it's like watching grass grow, so I will be back. Next book is black, so we're going to repeat this process again with the placement, tack down, and satin stitch for the black. Okay, repeat the process again for the red book. Okay, now for the last book, which is green, so there's green thread in the needle, and let's repeat this again. Now we're done with the applique, so what we're going to do next is the lettering, and you can pick any kind of thread you want for the lettering. You can use white or gold color. I'm going to use gold metallic. So let's talk a little bit about how to get successful stitching with metallic threads. First of all, you want to buy good quality thread, and most of the major brands, the thread is just fine. This kind, if you can see the X's through here, this is a cross wound. It is designed for this thread to come off the edge of the spool from the top. And then there's this kind, which is called a stack wound, or it's wound from one end to the other and back, where this goes up and down. This kind of thread is designed to come off the edge of the spool, not at the ends, but in the center. So this you would want to use a horizontal spool pin or an adapter so that this is coming off the spool straight. You'll have a lot less twist and you'll get a better stitch. Just as if you have this one here and you make it come off the end like the stack wound, this actually is going to add twist. If it comes off this way, it's hard to see, if it comes off this way, then it's going to add twist and again have more problems with splitting and breaking. The cheap stuff, like I said, it's got one of two problems. Either the core of the thread is too small, sometimes they're even smaller than this, because metallic thread has a memory, it tends to have like a corkscrew, so therefore the tighter, it's like even with this one, when it comes near the end of this spool, I'm going to start to have problems because this is a very tight coil and that's going to have a memory and is more likely to jam. The cheap stuff, while it's inexpensive, it's made with cheap materials. When you're having it coming off the spool, you want it to come off the spool with as little back pressure as possible. The reason this thread is such a nightmare sometimes is because look how much stretch. Here, I'm going to wrap this around my fingers, and here's the space. I'm getting quite a bit of stretch. That's what sometimes causes problems with it missing the loops as it's forming the stitch. So you want it to come off the edge of the spool with little to no back pressure. On this machine, it has a spool pin at the top, so I'm just going straight from here all the way up to here and then into my machine through this little prong and then threaded as normal. Okay, so when it comes off the spool straight up and down, it's coming out with any back pressure whatsoever, so that'll eliminate some of the stretching. Other things you need to do is change out your needle to either be a metallic needle or a top stitch needle. Both of these have bigger eyes. This one is a sharp, but a metallic needle has a slightly rounded point. This one has a sharp point, but the elongated eye is going to be better for eliminating fraying and shredding of the thread. The other thing, I like the top stitch needle the best because the groove that goes up the middle of the front of the needle is extra deep, and that also helps hide the thread from the fabric pulling on it. So these are my favorite for metallic thread. The other thing you need to do is slow down your machine. So in my settings pages, I'm going to go to, on this machine, it's going to be, I believe, on page 7, but it might be different on your machine. Maximum embroidery speed for this machine is 1050 stitches per minute. I normally will embroider at 700 stitches per minute because it just gives me a better stitch out. But for metallic thread, I want to go down to 350 stitches per minute, which is the slowest speed that it will go. Okay, the other thing I need to do is, here's my tension. Normal tension on an embroidery machine is 4.0. I'm going to reduce this down to about 3 and be prepared to go lower. You want to have very little tension because you don't want that stretching to go on. And now I'm going to stitch the lettering that's in the middle of the book, so down the spine of the book. Another thing I like to do is pull this thread down and just hold it in my hand, and that way I can feel if I'm getting any problems coming off the spool, or if it's not feeding, I can feel it. So a lot of times with metallic thread, I'm going to babysit the thread. And now I'm going to stitch it. Going to take a little time since my machine is going so slow, so I will be back when I finish stitching the metallic thread. It finished stitching out the lettering, and it actually did a very nice job. Okay, so now we need to return the machine back to its normal conditions. Now I'm going to return my needle back to a regular embroidery needle. I'm going to change my tension back to 4. I'm going to return the speed back to 700. Okay, now we're ready to just do the standard embroidery. We're done with the applique process. And I put red into the needle, and I'm just going to go ahead and stitch the next 3 colors, or actually after it's red for the apple, pink for the highlights, green for the leaf, and brown for the stem, and then we will be done with the embroidery portion of this mug rug. I will be back. Okay, I finished stitching the apple at the top. Turns out really cute. So now we're ready to put the right side of the mug rug on and the pocket. So first thing I'm going to do here is where this is stitched right here, I'm going to trim it close. It doesn't have to be really close, but I just need to trim it away. Any excess there, straight up and down. I put white back into the needle. I've taken my piece that's for the pocket, the 3.5 by, I believe, 7 inches. You want to determine how high you want the pocket to go. If I put a spoon or a cookie or something in, I don't want it to fall out. So I guess that's about there. You just sort of determine where you want that. You're going to put this down with the fold. So it's folded in half. I want the fold at the top of the mug rug, at least a 1/2 inch stitching out about here. Okay, and then you're going to take the right piece. On top of that, you're going to put the raw edge of the 3.5 by 6 inch piece again, also so that it's at least about a 1/2 inch off the edge on this side, and this side it's going to sew a seam. Actually, it's just doing, I take that back, it's doing the edges. Okay, it's the same place it was. Okay. You can skip over that step if you like. And now it's going to scoot in about a 1/4 inch and sew the seam. And now I'm going to fold over the right side. Give it a nice sharp finger press. And this one I'm going to take the pocket and also bring it over and give it a nice sharp finger press. Okay. And now the next thing it's going to do is tack down these two sides. So I'm just going to hold it down and just let it tack. Okay, now when I get close to this seam, I'm going to stop because I don't want it to flip this. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to walk it. And how you walk this machine, which means it goes really slow, is that you hold the button down and notice it slows down and doesn't go faster until you release the button. Okay, that's good. That's how I want it. We're ready for the last step. We're going to take these two pieces here, which it's either the long one folded in half, but I want this, I didn't want that much bulk, so I just hemmed one side by folding it over a double 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to put these right sides together here. Doesn't matter which one goes over. I want this to be over by at least 1/4 to 1/2 inch with the folded sides to the middle. There, I just want to be sure I'm getting it. Okay. And now I'm going to sew the very last stitch. So again, I'm going to see which way it's going here. Okay, we're good. When I get to this edge, I'm going to slow down. Stop. Walk it over. And continue on high speed till I get to this other side, and when I get about right here, I'm going to stop it again. You ready? Okay, stop and walk it. You can tape these. Use the painter's tape as it shows in the instruction booklet. And now, see, it didn't flip it, so we're good to go. Going to double stitch it. It's still endangering of flipping the end, so stop and walk it over. That way you know you're good. Okay, good to go. It is all finished. Okay, I used a tearaway, so this part's easy for me. Tear it out of the frame. You can remove this if you like. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to trim this back to 1/4 inch. I'm going to miter the corners here. I'm going to turn it right sides out. Okay, all finished. Now, what you can do is, if you like, you can stitch this closed. I'm just going to leave it open, or you could take a piece of fusible web and put this in here and seal this edge down. It is not necessarily, it's going to stay flat just nicely like this without any problems. Okay, there you have it. It's finished. And it turned out really cute. So this is a perfect gift for a back to school teacher gift, or to your favorite teacher friend, buddy, sister, whatever. If you'd like a copy of this design, send me an email request to waltzquilt@yahoo.com and I'll be happy to send it to you in PES format. If you'd like to become a member of our Mug Rug of the Month Club, also send me an email request and I'll be happy to add you to next month's mailing list. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to email me. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll know when the next video comes out from my studio. See you later. Bye.